The Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience WGC FedEx St. Jude Invitational after round 2 recap, and a look ahead to the DraftKings Showdown slate for round 3 and the weekend slate up on DraftKings. Just a word for anyone out there, they've adjusted the tee times for Saturday, so now the players are going off in groupings of 3, starting at 10 a.m. local in Memphis, which is Central Time, so 11 a.m. Eastern Time when those contests are going to lock. So pay attention to that going forward. The tee times have not been released yet, or at least the groupings, so we can bet on 3 balls or anything like that. So check out my Twitter feed at the PME if you want to do that. Smash the like button to the episode as well, and in the comment section, tell me who you need to get their shit together on the weekend if you want to win some big cash on DraftKings. For me, it's Matthew Wolf, 4 over on Friday. Not helping matters whatsoever. Now, you don't need to come inside the top 10 Matthew Wolf, but if you want to go 67, 68 on the weekend, I will take that. That should help out tremendously for a lot of my lineups, because so far, so good with the rest of the team. So if the rest of the team continue to do what they're doing, and Matthew Wolf gets his shit together, all of a sudden I could be looking at a lot of bucks, just like the fun parlays and triples. We got some runners on every tour, or every event at least this week. So right now we have Brooks Kepca. If he ever learned how to putt, that would be nice. Hopefully we'll dig into Brooks here in a second, but he's got a shot to come back and win here with Brendan Todd in the lead. I don't know if he's going to be a house of cards. He does have 2 wins so far this year, but it's still Brendan Todd in a field of big boys. This isn't the Bermuda Open. This is a WGC. We'll see how Todd, the Todd father, holds up under the pressure so far. But in 2 career 36-hole leads, he has won both those events. So that's not encouraging if you don't have Brendan Todd, like myself. If Chez Reavie wants to go in, if Webb wants to come back and go and win, that would be fantastic. As we stand right now at the Barracuda Championship, Matthias Schwab, first place by himself. Now, that could change by the end of the round, obviously. And Cam Davis is making a nice run, too. So hopefully we can get some cross action here. Doubles in play, the triples in play. If Jim Furyk continues to play well on the Sonora Tour, that could be a sweaty weekend. I assume this is going to go like most other weekends, where got some runners in place, have the big sweat. That's a lot of fun, and then you end up winning $0, because that's usually what ends up happening. But hey, maybe this is the weekend where everything goes right. I like to think on the positive side of things, and that's really the fun of all of this. I played the triple, the Furyk, Schwab, and Brooks triple together. It's a $10 bet, and it pays $75,000. So even if it loses, I only lose $10, and I feel like I'm going to get a lot of entertainment, hopefully, out of that this weekend, just tracking everything, keeping my mind occupied. That's a lot of fun for me. So I think that's what most of this is out there for, that you're not trying to get rich by doing it and just banking on that money. But if you can get yourself a weekend's worth of entertainment at a $10, way better than a movie, I'll tell you that much. Anyway, let's dig into the stats from fantasynational.com. The weekend and round 3 DraftKings slates are going to be uploaded on Friday evening after the show post. So if you want to go play in there right now, and if you use fantasynational.com/Mayo, you get 20% off. And if you do that today, you'll get the entire weekend, all the Showdown stuff. Plus, you'll get all the PGA Championship all the way through Friday next week. So maybe you want to do it on Saturday morning to go Saturday to Saturday, so you can get the weekend stuff in round 3 for the PGA Championship as well. But that's going to be a whole lot of fun. I should say the schedule, too. So we have the first look show. That's going to be Saturday night or Sunday morning. I'll have the column Sunday evening or Monday morning. The show with Jeff, the picks and bets, that's going to be Monday morning, a little bit earlier than usual. We're recording a bit early, but we wanted to wait until all the odds got adjusted on Monday morning. DraftKings show, have a very special one of those planned. That's going to come out on Tuesday. The live chat, 12:30 p.m. Eastern time on the DraftKings YouTube channel, is going to be on Wednesday. I might even do one of these shows, like a round recap and showdown. Don't hold me to that. See how I'm feeling on Thursday. If I'm really bummed out, probably don't want to do it. But then we're going to be sweating the cut live in prime time for the PGA Championship. Me, Feinberg, Cusp will probably be on the line, so that should be a whole lot of fun. And if you're looking for some laughs, me and Custer are doing a football draft on Saturday. We're going to record it and release it as a show just so you can see how shitty that we draft. We're going to run some crazy strategies through Jake Seeley's Flex League. But let's jump over to, let's actually just take a look at the weather right away. First off, I'm using windfinder.com /forecast /Memphis _ Shelby_Farms, the Memphis/Shelby Farms. And we can take a look at the super forecast and see what's going on for Saturday. They've moved up the tee times to right here. It looks like there could be some rain in the morning, and then it's just going to kind of dry out over the course of the day. Maybe they're seeing something different than what I'm seeing right here. I'm kind of surprised they moved it up. I think they're just playing it like, hey, listen, we don't want to run into a circumstance where this somehow gets pushed into Monday and it fucks everything up for the PGA Championship. Let's just get these guys out of Memphis when they need to be out of here. Not a bunch of wind concerns. Like, it's windy, but not too windy. The gusts kind of get up, 15, 13, 12. That's nothing. And then on Sunday, you can see that if we take a look at it, you're not getting anything more than 8-mile-per-hour gusts. So Sunday actually looks pretty clear. They should be able to finish all this up. With the rain in the morning, if this holds true, you could see a softer course in the AM, but everyone's kind of going out in a 2-hour block, so you can't really T-stack whatsoever. That's one of the problems with these limited field events at a WGC. If we take a jump over to the WGC, we can click on the in-tournament stats and see what we got going on here. Obviously, Brendan Todd is in the lead after 2 rounds. How's he doing it? Approach and putting. Ball striking, he's number 2, just because the approach has been so good for him. Or he's been 2 strokes gained on ball striking. But this number kind of concerns me a little bit. And this is for both of the first 2 rounds. You can separate them into rounds 1 and rounds 2 if you like by jumping into these. Also remember that you need to be on the St. Jude tournament if you want to look at the live leaderboard. Some people jump ahead or go to the Barracuda. They can't figure out why they can't get the live stats. It's the reason you need to be on the tournament that we're talking about right now. When I did the show before the week started, I had mentioned that no winner had only actually one winner in the past 10 years had finished outside the top 20 for the week in terms of strokes gained off the tee. And right now, Todd is way outside of that, losing strokes off the tee. So that'll be interesting to monitor going forward. I mean, gaining 6.8 strokes putting through 2 rounds, putting him on pace for over 13 strokes gained putting, him and Fitzpatrick. Like, that's going to be tough to replicate to keep that going. We saw this kind of happen at the Travelers. He was great through 3, and then all of a sudden on Sunday, dude couldn't... On Sunday, he couldn't make a putt, and then he'd hit like every fairway through 3 rounds. Then that kind of let him down a little bit too. So I don't feel like Todd is an absolute house of cards at the top of this. I mean, I would like him to fold because I have none of him, and I would like him to not keep this going. But if the approach and around the green numbers continue where they are, and he can even out his off the tee, even if the putting regresses and he just gains a little bit, gains like a stroke per round here on out, he should still have a really nice finish and still be in contention. Like, he's up by 2 over Ricky right now. Ricky's actually looking kind of great. Let's look at the ball striking leaders, though. It's Brooks and a whole lot of Brooks. Somehow, he's only lost 1.6 strokes putting for the week. Let's go to round 2 and check that out, though, because it is hilarious. The strokes gained leader, Webb, Todd, Fitzpatrick, and good God, Connors, Day and Hatton, and Homa. Homa really kept his round together just a little bit with solid putting. That's not going to happen too often. Nice, very Todd-esque day from Kevin Na, too. I jumped in on him at 80-1, put that one out on Twitter with a top 4 each way earlier in the round. So, this is not new for Kevin Na whatsoever in his wins. This looks an awful lot like what he does. Gains on approaches, gains on putting. It's mainly for the top 4. It pays 20-1 for a top 4 on that bet. So I wouldn't mind that whatsoever. This kind of worries me a little bit, that Webb was able to piece everything together with the 4. But sometimes looking at the overall round doesn't put everything into quite the exact amount of context that you want, because Webb off the tee and through approach was a fucking disaster through 9 holes. And he was saving himself with the short game and with the putter. And then when he got to I think it was his front 9. But anyway, his inward 9, whatever side he played last, the irons started heating up again. He started sticking stuff and making those putts too. So that's how he was able to rally a little bit. So I like Webb going into the weekend. Obviously, I bet him to win at 22-1. I'd like to see him sneak back into it. I got doubles. Even if he can just come inside the top 5, that would be much appreciated. But the Brooks thing, minus 4.6 strokes lost, or well, I guess minus strokes gained putting. The ball striking, immaculate. And the ball striking has been immaculate through 2 rounds. That's why I'm not too concerned about Brooks. Like, minus 6.4 strokes putting, that's not good. And I'd like to say that that's never going to happen again, but it just happened. It's not likely to happen again, but it's not encouraging whatsoever. It's funny to watch him, because I watched his entire round this morning, and he looks far more comfortable over like a 22-foot putt than he does over a 3-foot putt. Obviously, he had that brutal 3-putt from inside 3 feet. That's where a lot of these strokes were lost. Just make those 2, and all of a sudden, you're 2 strokes off the lead behind Brendan Todd. I still like Brooks. I would cap him as my favorite going into the weekend. I think Justin Thomas would probably be number 2 because he, too, has suffered from a case of the old I can't putts. So take a look at Justin Thomas, lost 3.4 strokes putting, but again, like Brooks, gaining a bunch on approach, gaining around the green. He was even off the tee today, but overall, he's 25th on the season in terms of strokes gained off the tee. So I do like Brooks going into the weekend. I think he's like the top pick. I think that he is the best showdown play. If he just can find, he doesn't even need to find like a super hot putter. That's the whole thing. Him and Shez, to be perfectly honest. I think a lot of people will kind of look at Shez as fool's gold, but he is tied with Brooks as the overall leaders in strokes gained tee to green through 2 rounds, almost 2 strokes up on Justin Thomas. I have that top 10 on Shez. I'd like to see him continue to play well. And just minus 1.6 strokes putting over the first 2 days. If he can just continue to get back to even, that's going to be a positive on the weekend. I mean, is he going to continue to ball strike as well as he has? I mean, historically, when he plays well in a tournament, he tends to keep that going over the 4 rounds. So hopefully that is something that we can kind of ride and get lucky with that. And hopefully the putter can come around. But you can see in terms of strokes gained, let's get stroke by ball striking. So Brooks, Reavie, Thomas, Sung Kang, and then Sergio. I saw bunch of people hit DraftKings Sportsbook. They were hanging like 1,000 to 1 on Sergio. I didn't see it, but a bunch of people screenshotted it to me. So that's looking pretty nice if you can figure it out. Graham has lost 3.4 strokes putting too. Pretty good in the ball striking department. So some interesting plays for over the weekend if you want to take a shot. Like you can almost build that lineup right there if you just wanted to go the can't putt all ball striking team, and hopefully it works out. It never really works out that way, but that is an interesting way that you want to take it if you want to look at some sleepers. Obviously, Kang, no one's going to have any faith in him. I don't even have faith in him despite what the stats tell me, but $6,100 is pretty good. Nick Taylor broke my heart. All he had to do was make 1 5-foot putt on 16 to win his matchup, his 3-ball against Phil and Keegan Bradley on Friday, and he missed it to push it with the 2 of them. Got the money back, but I would have liked the win at plus 220. But he's another guy who is striking the ball pretty well, just can't make any putts. Is that going to reverse? Who knows? Hopefully he can just get back to 0 for the week, and then all of a sudden then you're gaining 3 strokes on the weekend. That's going to look pretty good for your lineups. Stenson is another one. The irons are absolute fire right now. Can't do anything on the greens. He's chipping like all right, and he lost a stroke off the tee in the second round. He's still trying to work out the kinks, but it's really encouraging to see him playing so well with his irons, just fresh out of the gate, his first 2 competitive rounds since the COVID hiatus. That, I can get behind this. This is something I'm going to really look towards for next week. I have a future on him from December or January at 80 to 1. I mean, he might have a worse number than that going into the PGA Championship next week. But if he wants to strike his irons like that, maybe he can find a hot putter out on the West Coast. As a guy with, his last win was at the Hero. That was in December. It's not like he's just completely over the cliff and done for. That this is encouraging to see. I like to see this from Henrik Stenson, that maybe he can kind of keep himself down. He's T21 right now. I don't need him to play well this week, but if he wants to lose like 20 more strokes putting and just really get the ball striking on point, I can dig that going into next week. Another guy I could use to play a little bit better is Cam Champ. Been really good off the tee. He saved himself, gained a lot of strokes putting today in round 2. Could use those just wedges. Like he made bogey. He was going to have a bogey-free round. He was in the middle of the fairway from 100 yards out on number 18 today, and ended up bogeying to get rid of that 5-point bonus and making the bogey. In my showdown today, like I had Champ and Reavie on the same team, and Reavie ended up getting the extra 5 points for a bogey-free round, but he missed a 3-foot birdie putt on 18, and then Champ ends up bogeying from the middle of the fairway with like a half wedge in. Not great. Really cost me a lot of cash. Phil doing his normal stuff. Phil's always a fun showdown play and a weekend play because especially in round 3 and weekend where finishing points don't matter, Phil just keeps bogeying a bunch of holes and he birdies like 3 in a row. Like he's just a fun guy to have on your team because birdies mean more than bogeys, and he's making a ton of birdies right now. You can see he's got the putter going, he's got the approaches going, he's still hitting bombs because he's Phil Mickelson, but he's gonna fuck up a few holes too. That's just par for the course for the plus 50-year-old at the moment. Other than that, the Brooks thing. So let's look into Brooks. He lost 4.6 strokes putting here. Here's all of his rounds that we have on record at Fantasy National dating back to, let's see here, 2012. What is the worst round he's ever had putting? I know Rick tweeted this out earlier. So the two on record that he has had the worst, minus 5.4 Tournament of Champions in 2018 and minus 5.1 at the Shriners in round 1 in 2015, but it's had two really bad ones recently. This is why it's not great looking at it. So last week in Minneapolis, lost 3.7 in round 1. At Honda in round 2, lost 4.1. Now, fortunately, when we look at it, that he doesn't usually cluster all these together all that often. Those are his only two. Genesis would be the other one, minus 2.2 from earlier this year. So hopefully he can turn that around. Like even if he had just putted even today on the greens, he would be in the lead right now. He'd either be tied with Todd or a shot up on Todd, depending on how you want to parse out those numbers. So stick to the ball striking. Continue to strike the ball well, drive it well off the tee, hit those irons, and hopefully a few of these putts start to drop. If he can just gain 1 or 2 on the weekend and continue to strike it this way, he's going to win. So I like Brooks, like I said, going into the weekend. Do I have a bias because I have money on him to win? Absolutely. But, that's never going to stop me in my analysis before. Going back to the all-rounds, let's see some guys that may be down on the list that we haven't quite covered yet. Like I said, Stenson 5th in approach right now. The Todd father is hitting his irons really well. Maybe Scotty Scheffler can learn how to putt. That would be nice. Gary Woodland is someone who's just kind of all over the map, but he is hitting his irons very well. Damon rebounded on Friday, although he did bogey 18 to cost himself a matchup with Byung-Hun An. That was disappointing. What a day to pick against Byung-Hun An. I was like, hey, if you told me Joel Damon was going to shoot -3, he'd probably win his 3-ball. Nope, not going to happen. Louis and Day were two guys, just for not so much this week, but for next week going in. To see Louis play this well across the board, somewhat encouraging heading into a major. Same with Jason Day. These ball striking numbers are, I don't want to say par for the course, but he's been improving in these almost every single week. That, if he wants to go all 4 across the board in the positives, then all of a sudden we're looking a lot better. Cuss boy, Streelman coming out with a fire second round too. Maybe Cuss is onto something with him. And a nice rebound from Terrell Hatton today. The Wolfman, keep hitting those irons well. Stop losing strokes off the tee. Gained a bunch round 1, lost a lot in round 2. And same with Tommy. Tommy keeps making birdies, but then he gives them all back. I want to see those ball striking numbers improve over the weekend. He's -1 in ball striking right now, and a lot of that has to do off the tee. I'm just actually kind of curious to go see what Fleetwood, just historically, if we look at his past 50 rounds, generally you think of him as someone who's very good off the tee. So yeah, off the tee, positive. Heading into the week, before that, positive. All right, so yeah, that's something that should flip back if he can continue to hit the irons, just kind of the way that he's doing, and maybe improve on that a little bit. Maybe he can get his act together and really start coming out of the weekend. You're going to have to find, a lot of people look at not these stats. People scour the leaderboards. People know what to look for in weekend and showdown contests now. So if you do want to take an outlier type of situation, kind of bank on someone, just see who's gaining the most birdies through the 2 rounds. Todd, Fowler, and Brooks. Also, Ben Ann. Is there anyone way down here? Billy Horschel's making a ton of birdies, as is Ian Poulter. Relative to the field and relative to their standings, that maybe, hey, you want to start trading some birdies for bogeys. Matt Kuchar as well is outperforming his position right now in terms of birdies gained. So that's interesting to look for. That's a soft spot that you can kind of find in the market sometimes, where guys are actually making a lot of birdies, but relative to the field, they're making way more than what their position is, and that always lends itself really well to single-day showdown and weekend DraftKings scoring, because we're no longer talking about finishing position. Guys at the bottom of that, someone like Stenson, he's not making any bogeys, but he's also, his pars gained toward the field are doing great. Not so great for DraftKings scoring, so maybe he's a fade this weekend if that continues to go that route. Graham McDowell is another one who just continues to make pars, but he's also losing a lot of strokes putting, so maybe he starts making a few of those. He vaults himself up the list a little bit. Berger and Schauffele, just losing a little bit to the field in terms of birdies gained. If we just take a look at the stats right now, fairways gained for the week. How important has this been? Reevy's hitting a ton. I'm shocked to see Todd and Ricky are just inside the top 20, so that's nice to see. Next week for the PGA Championship, I think I'm going to hone in a little bit on fairways gained, a lot like I did this week. If you can find like the distance plus fairway guy, like Morikawa is not having a good week, although every time you tune into him that he's just bleeding strokes on the green. So maybe going into next week, he's played a lot of rounds at Harding Park, which is across the street from he's playing Harding Park. He's played Olympic Club a lot. He's played this club a lot. He's a California guy, and he's someone who hits the ball a lot and hits a lot of fairways, which is really going to be the primary concern going into next week. Nice to see Louis doing that as well. I'm going to end up playing Louis next week. He's going to be like 58 over par or something like that. That's generally how that goes. Ricky's shaping up to be pretty nice as well. Casey, what are you doing, man? Poor Paul Casey. He's in like dead last. He should be cut from this no-cut event. But the ball striking is going to suck everyone back in. 2.3 on driving distance, 2.1 on fairways gained. The rest of his game just can't catch up to what else is going on. Who's leading in driving distance game? Bryson, Dustin, Brooks, Rory. Not a big shocker there. Bubba, Haotong popping up. Mackenzie Hughes. Did not see that one coming. Did not see him having more driving distance gain than John Rahm, who's having a terrible week. Maybe this will push down his DraftKings price, because as we speak right now, the DraftKings pricing for the PGA Championship has not been released yet. I'd like to see Willett rebound too. I want to look into Willett for a second, just to see his strokes gain stats overall. I like him at hard courses at majors, and one of the angles that I might be playing, I haven't done all of my research yet for TPC Harding Park, but where this was supposed to be played in May is now being played in August. Everything should be baked out a little bit more than you're thinking. I can see it playing fast and firm with really long rough. So Euros might be something I want to target. So while he is gaining a bunch in distance, he's losing a bunch in fairways, and he's losing strokes off the tee for the week. The approach is still up there. He's putting the ball pretty well. We know that Danny Boy is a pretty good scrambler, so in tougher conditions, you always like him. It's just going to be really tough to know. You kind of have to pick for next week at Harding Park. Do you think it's going to play really difficult? Do you think it's going to play really easy? And then I think that you should construct your teams depending on how you assess the tournament going in. I want to do a bit more research before I make my final analysis on this, but that is something to look for. So guys potentially to fade on the weekend who are just doing a lot with the putters right now. Homa, oh boy, after a really good round one, it's just shocking to see him gain so many strokes putting that you just know that really can't last. Cooch, kind of interesting for next week. Like I said, he's making a lot of birdies right now, but he's making doubles due to a lack of driving so far this week. Ben Ann is one of your leaders in putting. This is going to be a weird week. And Bryson, I don't know what's going on with Bryson, but he's close. Maybe he got bit by a fire ant, and that was no good for him. Reed, you'd like to see the approaches come around. Reed's always an interesting one in Showdown, just because he can turn himself on a dime so often. He's a good guy to target when he's playing poorly, only because almost like there was no statistical case really to take Rory in round two, other than the fact is he played so awful in round one. You're like, well, this is still Rory. Chances are he's going to rebound. And he did rebound. He still didn't make all the putts you wanted him to make. He really left a lot of birdies out there on the course in round two that maybe he is someone to go back to again, and maybe he figures out the putting. It's not like Reed is putting poorly. He's actually putting pretty well, but minus 3.3 on approaches, that is atypical even when he is playing poorly. Even someone like Xander, minus 4.2 strokes gained approach, when you make an 8 on a hole, that lends itself, when you keep hitting it into the water, that's going to detract whatever else that you're doing. He's actually playing a lot better than his numbers would suggest. It's just one really, really bad hole. So maybe two guys that the stats are masking that could have a potential turnaround if you're looking for more of a sleeper play going into the weekend, or even for the overall Showdown slate for round 3, or maybe even round 4. Just two guys to monitor going forward. I know those are like obvious names, but just because of these stats, that's something to look for. But I think my overall favorite plays, like I said, if I just sort by ball strike, I think Brooks and Shez and Thomas are the three guys to go with in both Showdown and weekend. I'm not sure what the pricing is going to completely be on those, but then you can fill out your team with a Sergio, with a Nick Taylor if you wanted to, with the Streelman potentially. Maybe take a Graham McDowell, take a shot on some of those guys, but I think my core 3, or even Kang. Yeah, Kang's up there. Why not, right? Kepka, Reevy, Thomas would be my core 3. I might mix in some Xander, some Rory, or some Patrick Reed and see if that all goes well. But realistically, I just want Schwa Schwab, and Brooks to win. I can win my doubles. Maybe if Furyk goes in there, I can win my triple. But if Brooks and Webb and Davis and Schwab come inside the top 5 respectively, I got those combos in the round robin that I gave out on the cheat sheet on Wednesday that will definitely pay for not only this week, but probably the rest of the year if that happens. So chances are that's not going to happen because that's never how easily things work out, like I said. But hey, good luck to everyone this weekend. Hope you enjoyed this little mini show. I normally wouldn't do it, like I said, but the round finished up so early on Friday, and it doesn't start till a little bit later on Saturday. This show actually has a little bit of legs. And the reason that I don't normally do Showdown shows is because you'd have to record it like 9:30 at night. My wife would be pissed at me, for one thing, leaving her home with the infant after the other child is in bed after, I'm supposed to be helping with that. So that's not great. But then the rounds start at like 9 a.m. or 7 a.m. And then what the fuck is the point? You get 4 hours of it if people aren't up at like 2 a.m. No one's going to listen or watch it. So we'll see how this show does. Maybe moving forward, this is something I can add to the repertoires for maybe some big events or when the scheduling really works out like this a little bit. So hopefully, like I said, you can win some cash either on Showdown or maybe in the overall tournament. And remember to become a member at fantasynational.com. Go to fantasynational.com/Mayo. Get yourself 20% off, rate and review the podcast, and smash the like button to the video. And in the comment section, tell me who you need to have a rebound this weekend at the WGC FedEx St. Jude Invitational to propel you up the leaderboard on DraftKings. I'm Pat Mayo. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.
That Mayo experience! Experience!